Good morning. Welcome to this morning's service. I'm glad that you're able to join us today. We still continue to observe COVID protocols. Hopefully, by the end of summer, we'll be able to open up our Hondo again and welcome people back into the Hondo. It's getting closer to the end of our Dharma school. Next week will be our baccalaureate, and the following week, the 12th, will be the last day of Dharma school. Then we begin, from the 19th, we begin our summer schedule. It seems that time goes by so quickly, and at the same time, in this time of COVID lockdown, it seems at the same time to be very slow. But I hope all of you are safe and you're able to enjoy this service together. At this time, we'll begin with the reading of Sambujo, followed by the reading of Juseige. So if you'll please join us in Juseige. This morning's school. This morning's Dharma message will be given by Sumi Tanabe, and before that she'll read if you join her in the reading of the three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life? Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One? Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units in true accord in the life of harmony, in the spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda.
Good morning. How are all of you doing? It seems as if this pandemic is just dragging on and on. I hope you are taking care of yourself and being safe. Please join me in Gassho. This is from Reverend Tamai. The thought of Okage-sama is the feeling of warmth will prevail naturally in our home and in our community. Peace and happiness will become a reality. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Several weeks ago, I was looking for a book, actually a book that George Takei wrote, and he had the cover of his picture with his Star Trek uniform, but I couldn't find it. And instead, I found this book, Ichinyo by Reverend Tamai. And then I remember how I had received this book. I never had the pleasure of meeting Reverend Tamai, but I was given this book from my Dharma school sixth graders on December 26, 1982. It was signed by 26 students. Included were the signatures of Reverend Hiroshi Abiko, Reverend Junjo Tsumura, and the head teacher, Bob Nakano. My daughter was in my class, and she is now 51 years old, so this was a long time ago. Reverend Abiko retired from the BCA ministry and still lives in the Bay Area. I see him from time to time. Misaya, his wife, still directs and conducts the San Francisco choir. Reverend Tsumura passed away, and we never got to see a San Francisco Giants game. As you know, he was a great sports fan. Bob Nakano was a Dharma school teacher for many, many years. Bob Nakano asked me to teach the 6th grade. And since I was coming every Sunday to bring my children to Sunday school, I said yes. And thus began my many years of teaching Dharma school. I finally ended up teaching 8th graders. So I had forgotten about this book of Reverend Tamai, and I decided to reread it again. Reverend Tamai served the tri-state Denver Buddhist temple for many years. He wrote in 1966 the conditions of the temple. It needed repairs, but there was no money. The ceiling of his room collapsed, but he was not hurt. Too many debts were going to close the temple, and Reverend Tamai was very worried. His salary was only $60 a month, but he didn't get paid for 8 months. He decided to donate $1,000 towards the debt reduction and told the board that if they could raise $5,000, then the temple would not have to close. The members went door to door and raised the $5,000 in just 1 month. It took Reverend Tamai 2 years to pay off the $1,000. Reverend Tamai was considered a bodhisattva by many, including Socho Sodo Tsunoda Buddhist churches of Canada. Reverend Tamai, in his 50 years as a Jodo Shinshu minister, has written a lot about his understanding of Shinran's teaching, but a very small portion is contained in this book, Ichi-Nyo. In his book, Reverend Tamai writes about some of his Dharma messages. In his first chapter, he writes about a life worth living, his message to the meeting of the National Fujinkai in 1967. Reverend Tamai begins by his first encounter with the Denver Tri-State Board President. The board president told Reverend Tamai that since the United States is a Christian country, all Americans are influenced by Christian teachers from the time they are in kindergarten. No amount of diligence on your part in spreading the Dharma is going to make a difference. The Iseis will support our temple vigorously as long as we live. But when the Niseis come to age, the Buddha Dharma will pass away with us. So don't worry too much about trying to spread the Dharma. Reverend Tamai said now in the age of the Yonseis, the 4th generation, he was overjoyed at seeing the huge body of the Fujinkai. He wanted to get down on his hands and knees to express his gratitude. Reverend Tamai in Ichi-Nyo, Oneness, said to think about Amida's mind that feels, your suffering is my suffering, your pleasure is my pleasure, your happiness is my happiness, your sorrow is my responsibility. I will endure any suffering to make you happy. I cannot be happy until all sentient beings in the 10 quarters are happy. These are the feelings expressed in the 18th vow of Amida Buddha. Reverend Tamai wrote numerous letters to those in the internment camps during World War II. They were written to encourage the Buddhist internees. The internees must have felt great comfort in Reverend Tamai's letters. He wrote about a life without resentment. He said peace is the basis of society, and a society without peace is not really a society. We must always work towards peace and be careful not to bring about discord. Shedding blood is not corrected by shedding more blood, and hatred is not overcome by hatred. Only by substituting love for anger does anger disappear. The Buddha Dharma is the teaching of peace. The teaching of peace that the Buddha taught is kindness towards all things. I asked a friend who knew Reverend Tamai personally. He said that Reverend Tamai was a very respected minister who shared the Dharma far and wide throughout the Rocky Mountains area. He gave selflessly and was a person who gave a warm smile when meeting anyone, including strangers on the street. The Sangha thought so highly of Reverend Tamai that they named an apartment building for the community elderly after him, and also an endowed chair of the IBS honoring him for his teachings during his career. When things go back to normal, we hope this fall, and you're inside our hondo, look behind you on the walls. You will find all the ministers who have supported and served this Betsuin beginning in 1906 when Reverend Honen Takahashi came here. Of course, during the World War II years, the temple was closed while the members were interned. Fortunately, James Pickham, an attorney, cared for the temple until the internees returned. I came here in the early 1960s when Rinban Hojo was the head minister. Rinban Hojo served from 1959 to 1976, and Rinban Tokunaga from 1959 to 1981. In the years I have been here, there have been 17 ministers and 5 trainees. Some have served for a very short time, but some have served for many, many years. Rinban Sakamoto began in 1986, and he is still here. Some ministers here were here to receive training before being assigned to a temple within BCA. We only have had 2 women ministers, Reverend Kara Himaka, who has retired, and now Reverend Mikame. These ministers made many sacrifices to serve our Betsuin and Sangha. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. Let us remember our ministers, especially those who have passed away, with deep gratitude. Please join me in Gassho, again from Reverend Tamai's book. Our physical eyes may be open, but our spiritual eyes, the eyes of self-reflection, are closed. We can easily see the actions of others and decide whether it is good or bad, but we are unable to see deeply into our own hearts and see our own faults. Namo Amidabus. Namo Amidabus. Namo Amidabus. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Sumi, for your wonderful Dharma message and reminding us about all the ministers that have served the Betsuin, but especially those outstanding individuals like Tamai Sensei, whose history and his service to the Honganji really is so outstanding, so remarkable, that it's surprising that we don't hear more about him. We often kind of hear stories about him, but I think we should really celebrate a life like Tamai Sensei even more than we do today. This weekend, as Sumi mentioned, is a Memorial Day weekend, but we should also be mindful of all these ministers who have served the Betsuin, have them in our hearts and minds as we participate in this Memorial Day weekend. As we conclude this morning's service, we'll end with the Gatha Ondokusan. Thank you very much, everyone. Next week again is our baccalaureate service. I was trying to think of that word. I have difficulty spelling baccalaureate as well, but remembering a baccalaureate graduate service. And our speaker will be Ryan Ichinaga. And the service, the graduates will be here in the Hondo, as will Ryan, our guest speaker, will be here in the Hondo. We ask that everybody else, of course, view this or participate in this service via our YouTube connection. But it is wonderful to be able to have students like Ryan return to the Hondo, to the temple, and to share with us their experiences and their appreciation of what they experienced here at the Betsuin. The following week, June the 12th, will be our last Dharma school service, so please plan to join us then. At the baccalaureate service will also be a presentation of scholarships. We are very fortunate that we have several families that have established scholarships here at the Betsuin. And those scholarships will be awarded at the time of the baccalaureate service. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for participating in this morning's service. Please have a safe Memorial Day weekend. Don't eat too much tomorrow. And if you're going to eat too much, well, I shouldn't say plant-based. Plant-based is good. I'm not going to be doing that, unfortunately, contributing to my habit of eating too much. But I hope all of you will have a safe Memorial Day weekend. Tomorrow morning, as a reminder again, tomorrow morning, 8:30 at the Nokotsudo area of the Oak Hill Cemetery, we'll hold a brief service. Then, following that brief service in front of Nokotsudo, we'll join the community service at 9 o'clock in the cemetery area that we usually meet. It's the first time in 2 years that we'll be able to participate in an in-person Memorial Day service. So again, it is an hour earlier, so 8:30 in front of, or at the Nokotsudo area, Betsuin, a brief service for the Betsuin, and then at 9 o'clock in the community service area, we'll observe the memorial service. I believe it's Zoe Lofgren, is that who is speaking at this year's Memorial Day service? So please come and join us for that service. Again, thank you very much. As we conclude, will you please join in Gassho and then Butsu? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.